Hi guys, I'm Shmee, hello and welcome back to the channel where you join me on a very exciting day. We're here at the brand new HR Owen Ferrari Hatfield showroom. This is the latest Ferrari dealership that's only just opened in the week of the British Formula One Grand Prix. But the reason we are here, as you have no doubt already figured out, is to do with the car that's lurking under covers inside the showroom behind me, a future addition to the Shmeemobiles, and today we can reveal all. Now, the HR Owen Ferrari Hatfield showroom is the sister dealership to HR Owen Ferrari in London, where of course I've purchased last year my GT4 Lusso and SF90 Stradale, plus I've also ordered the Purosangue and the 296 GTS, so it might appear that I have a little bit of an obsession slash small problem here, but that's an aside. We're going to be heading indoors, pulling the covers back, going through the details of this car, running through some spec ideas, a timeline of when it might be arriving. This is quite exciting. Let's head in and go talk about the next addition to the Shmeemobiles. Very quickly, before we head inside to show you what exactly lurks beneath that cover, a quick look at some of the cars around. Some lovely specs. I mean, we start with the 296 GTB. My GTS is due at the very tail end of this year, perhaps early next year, something like that. More details to come, including the spec of that and the Purosangue. That was the sound of an 812 in the background. Next up, we have a pair of F8s, the Tributo, which is the Coupe, followed by the Spider. We then have a very nice blue Tour de France Portofino. That's the color I had originally on my first GT4 Lusso. The second one was in blue Pozzi. Then we've got an 812 GTS. Of course, I'm a big fan of those. Check out this Roma. This is Verde British, a super dark straight green paint over a Coyo leather interior. I think it suits the Roma very well. This, however, is a very different green. Verde Lupo on the 812 Superfast. Then another Portofino just over to the end before, check this out, and don't focus too much yet on what's behind. We're coming to that. Viola Hong Kong on the 296 GTB. Now, this is a paint color that I think looks immense. I'm a big purple paint fan, but these are obviously becoming quite popular because the more people see a paint color like this, more people tend to order it. I think it looks good though. We've then got another California, GT4 Lusso, F8. Come and take a look at this light blue metallic Portofino as well, because this actually has the light metallic blue paint and navy blue up on the roof sections as that 812 Superfast makes its way out. Talking of 812s, as we come past the SF90 here, check out this. That's blue Abu Dhabi on the 812 GTS. I think that looks really nice, especially with the silver wheels. Anyway, let's head on in and go pull these covers off. Into the handover bay then, here at the HR Owen Ferrari Hatfield showroom, with a car ready to be revealed to you, a distinctly bright red cover to pull back. But before we do, a quick bit of backstory on this particular car and my choice. This is a car that serves a purpose, which is currently unfulfilled in my collection. The car that I owned, which was closest to this, I sold around a year ago. This is something I've driven in different forms before and always really quite enjoyed. It's part of a collection, a family of Ferrari cars, if you will, something to add a different driving experience to the garage, a type of driving that I always particularly enjoy, which you'll know if you've seen my videos, all of my tours, traveling around, doing tons of miles, enjoying what a car is all about. So I think without any further ado, it is time to pull back this bright red cover to reveal an addition to the Shmeemobiles, the Ferrari Roma Spider. When this was introduced, I was immediately thinking, that's the car for me. The Roma has always been a car that I've particularly liked how it looks, but also how it drives. It's beautiful the way it rides down the road. It looks so elegant. The interior is magnificent. And of course, now they've taken it even further with a fabric soft top, which we can demonstrate today and talk through all of the details about, talk about how that works, the electronically adjustable deflector, how much luggage space you have, all of those kind of things on this particular example, finished in Blu Roma with the blue 5-layer fabric roof. Plus, of course, this being the car that was the first ever Ferrari model to be introduced not wearing Scuderia shields, a little bit more discreet, a little bit more subtle. So there are lots of things to think about when it comes to the specification. Of course, you still have a 620 horsepower, 3.9 litre twin turbocharged V8. You have this magnificent look to the front of the car. I've always thought it is a beautiful looking thing. And in this specification, I have to say, it looks really quite nice. So welcome, a future addition to the garage, the Ferrari Roma Spider. For now, we can take a first look, go through all of the details, then it's going to be time to dive into a little bit more about what spec I could perhaps consider and some of the other timeline and other things that I intend to use it for. Welcome then, a future Shmeemobile. Before we get onto the details of the roof and obviously get this folded down so that you can see what it looks like, I want to go through some of the technical side, the facts and figures of the Ferrari Roma, and of course in particular the Roma Spider. Now, one of the things that has impressed me the most about the design of this car is how Flavio Manzoni and the Centro Stile team have managed to create this silhouette that is familiar from the Coupe with that very gradual sloping rear deck, despite the fact that you have a folding soft top. Obviously this tucks beneath the deck lid, and I'll show you that in just a moment. We've got the V8 up front, it's transaxle, gearbox at the back, driving the rear wheels. But to show you the power plant, we'll have a quick glance at the interior of the Roma Spider. We'll go through this in more detail in a moment. You've got the curved digital display for the dashboard, these two separate zones where you have the wraparound cockpit, almost for the driver and the passenger, in this case with this lovely pinstripe contrast as well. To pop open the front, down here, pull the latch under the steering column and come round to talk about the power plant. In here, we have the 3.9 litre twin turbocharged V8 mounted just behind the front axle, front mid position, 620 metric horsepower, 611 brake horsepower, along with 760 Newton meters of torque. That means 0 to 100 kilometers per hour, which is 62 miles per hour, is dispatched in only 3.4 seconds. 0 to 200 kilometers per hour, 124 miles per hour, is 9.7 seconds, identical to the Coupe, and on to a top speed of 320 kilometers per hour, that's 198 miles per hour. Plenty of speed, plenty of performance, that's for sure. Let me tuck this back down, carefully close it. It's an exceptionally lightweight front bonnet, it has to be said. Inside then, this is where all of the creature comforts, for example, the H-pad that you have here for your gearbox selection, your infotainment screen in the very center, the touch start button and other controls on the steering wheel. Coming towards the back, obviously a car like this has an element of how much luggage space do you get. So to show you in here, let me just pull the key out of my pocket very quickly. This is your Roma Spider key. The two keys, you get one grey one yellow one. Pop a double press of the button, it pops open the boot. Open this up, because inside here you have 255 litres of luggage capacity, despite of course having the boot, or the roof that sits within the boot up top, only losing 17 litres versus the Coupe, which is actually quite impressive. We've got the personalisation specifications plaque here with the full spec detail of this particular car. So for example, we've got the blue tailoring fabric for the soft top colour, it's extra range in Blu Roma paint, Alcantara Nero with the inner details in Carta da Zucchero, apologies for my Italian pronunciation on the details of that, but similarly to the Coupe back here, this very smooth line that wraps around through the tail lights and all the way across the back of the car, in this case with the carbon fibre exterior as well for the diffuser, flanking those very prominent exhaust tailpipes. In general, the car is a beautiful, elegant design. It's very simple, it's all about the curves, linking back to the Ferraris of the 60s, you know, those legendary kind of shapes, big arches, glamorous body, glamorous looks. But let's move on to this in more detail. I think that it is roof time. Let me demonstrate this. So step into the Roma Spider. This will mean I need to start it. Not the worst thing in the world. So let's just press the button, hold that. There we go. I'm going to close the door so that you can see this. Running the cold start obviously quite loudly at the moment. But if I just pull the button here, windows drop first, then we get ready for the roof to fold. The back section tucks up first, rear deck lid opens up behind me. This takes 13.5 seconds in total. Obviously that folds in, deck comes down nice and easily, and then after that your windows will go up, which of course you can then pop back down should you prefer, nice and easily, just like that, including the rear quarter window. Stop it given we're indoors for the moment, but just like that you now have your Spider, and you can do the roof up to 55 kilometers per hour, 37 miles per hour as well. And interestingly then, when it's folded down, this is where you have this fabric section in the same material as you've ordered for the roof. So in this case, the blue tailored fabric that we have on here to complement the design, to keep that wraparound cabin style feel with the design of it. With the roof down, we have a very different perspective. Of course, open air driving is a wonderful experience, but it also leads me to thinking a little bit about the spec. You're open to the elements, dust, dirt, so perhaps a bias towards a darker coloured interior with an accent akin to this. I think it looks very smart. But before we get too much into the interior controls and functionality, to talk about this area, officially the Roma and the Roma Spider are called 2+, not 2+2, because although you do have seat belts and technically a seat, there's not exactly a wealth of space back there. You're not going to have very comfortable passengers sitting behind in one of these cars, but what you do have, which is very clever, is this large panel at the back. This is an electronically deployable wind deflector at the press of a button, which I'll demonstrate in a moment, to pop that out and up, working in harmony with the raised top of the windshield by 5mm to reduce the turbulence in the cabin by 30%. Obviously very welcome for the open driving experience. Now the roof is tucked under here as I mentioned, but it also reveals this upper level brake light. Now when the roof was up, you barely noticed this. It sits just between the bodywork and the roof itself, very neatly integrated, as is the active spoiler at the back. Just like on the Coupe, there's no button to show off and put this into any mode. It works purely based on the driving circumstances, otherwise sitting flush with the bodywork. Now inside, to show you this with the boot or with the roof in the boot, there's a physical button here. You don't have to do it from the key. The roof sits in the upper section. You can raise this up when the roof is up in place. You still have a decent amount of storage tucked in under there, goes quite far underneath. Plus beneath the floor, you have your tyre inflator and some other tools and fuses and useful things as well. Plus the boot, if we close this down, also has soft close to tuck it in very neatly also. Climbing in then, so I'd like to show you this wind deflector and how exactly that works. In here, lots of familiar controls from the other Ferrari models. It's going to press the start button on there. We've got the buttons just here. This is your button, your switch for the roof. This is your switch for the wind deflector. A press of that, as you'll see, it will pop up into place simply like that. Now, there's no electronic closing. You do have to reach up and give it a firm press, which is not the easiest thing in the world, it has to be said, but certainly the benefits when driving are the purpose and what that executes quite well. In terms of the cabin, passenger display, as we know from other models, this is where you have your climate settings, your audio controls, your performance charts, so you can see what exactly your driver is getting up to. In the center, the H-pad for your automatic manual, your launch control, your reverse, your window switches, a few other nice comforts, for example this little section here where you can pop the key, you've got your cup holder, and you've got a small storage cubby here with some USB ports and things in the armrest, along with an additional pad just back there as well. In the more regular Ferrari models, they include an infotainment screen, so in the likes of the Portofino, the Roma Spider, the GTC4 Lusso, you have the infotainment screen, whereas in the supercars, like the SF90 Stradale and the 812 GTS, they don't have that, they just rely on the screen that you have here. Now, I particularly like using all of this infotainment. I've obviously become very accustomed to it with my SF90 Stradale, but having the different screens that you can change and slide and swipe things across and set it up all how you would like. With this car also featuring the updated steering wheel, where you now have the physical feel for the D-pad and the other hotkey buttons on the opposite side. The start button is in the very center. This is your Manettino to go through the different driving modes, plus you can also press it for the bumpy road mode if you want to soften the suspension even further. So that all works very, very nicely. Plus, as we heard earlier, if I put my foot on the brake and press the button here, it's a very nice sound. It's a really, really good rumble that you get inside the Ferrari Roma. You've got a button here to open the boot, your memory seats, the Alcantara that we have here, the Nero Alcantara with the Nero leather and that blue accent detail, all feels wonderful fit, finish and quality. The view of a couple of Ferraris that we have in the mirror, and then of course this very raked window, having this very, very angled A-pillar gives you that feeling of sportiness and that feeling of wanting to go out and drive the car and enjoy what it's all about. And I can imagine on the roads this is going to be quite the experience. We've also got the Prancing Horse Cavallino embroidery here at the front, plus also on those rear buttresses. Again, there's a seatbelt, there's a headrest, not so much necessarily for passengers. To show you from inside, by pressing the roof button forwards, exactly how this works, roof, or rather deck lid opens, roof folds over, very, very easy, and the entire roof system, the folding mechanism, the extra rigidity that the car needs only adds 84 kilos to the car's weight, up to 1,556 kilos, but all super simple and easy, just like that. For me, ready to pop back out. With the roof back down, let's talk why Roma Spider. And I'm sure rumors, you have to buy it to get this, that, and the other. No, nothing like that. I have chosen to buy this car because if you know my channel and you know the road trips, the driving I like to do, I love to go on long distance tours, GT, grand touring, to enjoy a car that you can take off and do loads of miles with, to be able to take some luggage and things with you, to go for a long distance drive. So I had an AMG GTR Roadster, I sold that car, I've driven the Roma, and I always enjoyed the Roma Coupe, but I never felt that offered something new to my garage. I have a lot of two-seat front mid-engined coupes, sporty cars, dynamic cars, whereas I don't really have anything else that does this. A couple of mid-engine cars, the 296 GTS, for example, and some other cars in the garage. But this is quite a unique proposition in terms of the Shmeemobiles, in terms of my lineup. Now, I won't lie, obviously, the Ferrari family is a thing. When you start meeting everybody involved with the company, understanding the cars and what they're about, there's nothing else like it. There's nothing else like Ferrari. The passion and emotion of these cars, to me, is just on a totally different stratosphere. It's unbelievable to be part of. So for me, this is a car I want to experience, I want to own. It won't be a car to own for 20 years, it's not that kind of thing, but certainly to run for a couple of years, to enjoy the experience with, to daily drive, to just head out with, to drive and enjoy. And that could perhaps prompt a little bit to do with the specification as well. I think something elegant, we'll get more into this in just a second. So for me, it's crazily probably my fourth Ferrari or something simultaneously, because once this will arrive, perhaps next summer, it will be alongside the SF90 Stradale, the Coupe, the 296 GTS, the Purosangue. So we've got a big mix of different cars there, all wearing the prancing horse, which I think is so cool. You never would have thought that just Ferrari alone could be the brand that serves all of your purposes. The practical luxury car, that is the Purosangue, the Roma Spider for your convertible grand touring, the SF90 Stradale for ballistic performance in a two-seat coupe, and the 296 GTS as a slightly more usable two-seat Spider as well. It's a wonderful mix of cars. So once this was, well, we pretty much knew it was coming, right? It was always going to be the case that the Roma would spawn an open-topped derivative. I've been waiting for it, I've been looking for it, and once it launched, I thought it had to happen. So why not add a Roma Spider to the collection? It is probably too early to get into the complete specification. If the car's going to be here in a year or so, something like that, I will have to lock it in a couple of months. At this point, of course, I haven't shared my spec choices for the Purosangue and the 296 GTS, which are both now locked in, so there will be some updates with those very soon. But for this car, I'm thinking something smart. Something akin to that Portofino we saw outside. The blue roof, for sure. I love the blue roof. Against a light metallic blue, very silvery blue exterior. Not this color, as smart as this is. I think something a little bit lighter. I'll definitely be going with silver wheels. I love my silver wheels on cars. I will be adding the Scuderia shields. I just feel like a Ferrari should have the yellow shields on the side. For me, it works. It's part of it. But what I'm thinking for the interior is to perhaps follow this kind of theme, whether it's Nero, black leather, or whether we go with a navy blue throughout for both the leather and the Alcantara, but adding in a lighter contrast for that pinstripe that wraps around. And it's really cool how from where I'm standing right now, when you look at the car, you see it going all the way around the passenger cabin, and then it follows through into the rear seat sections as well. You can see from the door straight through, wrapping around, creating that entire enclosed cabin feel within the Roma Spider, which I just think looks absolutely superb. So a lot to play with. I want to create something smart. If it's to be driven more as a daily type thing, I'm not going to go with a bright yellow or a bright red or something like that. I want it to be more of a subtle configuration, but a very smart configuration. I did toy with the idea of a crema interior against the blue, but that's what I mentioned earlier. If you have a crema interior in a convertible and you drive it roof down often, it gets very dusty, very dirty, it takes a lot of work to clean, and it's a car that deserves to be kept clean. So some decisions to be made, but definitely welcome to throw out your ideas, and we'll see how exactly that evolves. It's quite exciting to come here to Hatfield, to the new HR Owen Ferrari site. This is where the service centre is located, so my SF90 Stradale and GT4 Lusso have been out here for servicing, the sister dealership, if you will, to Mayfair and South Kensington, where over the years I have been on many occasions and have purchased my cars from Mayfair, where of course my Roma Spider is going to be delivered as well. But to see this car, to take it all in, there's something special about having already ordered and placed a deposit for a car when you go and look at it in detail for the first time. It's not the first time I've actually seen one. There was one on display at Salon Privé London, but the first time for me really poking in and out around the car, and I can't wait to get out on the road, to drive the car, to enjoy it. That's what they're for. That's what these things are built to do, and go out and drive them and share those experiences with you guys is exactly what I love doing as well. So a big thanks to the team here at HR Owen Ferrari, a big thanks to Ferrari UK for the opportunity to film with this car, and of course a big thanks to you guys for all of your support that makes this possible. Thank you very much, it is truly appreciated. But that's it for this time. Say hello to a future addition to the Shmeemobiles, the Ferrari Roma Spider. That's it for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again very soon. Cheers!